Okay, so I guess the first question is, are you going this weekend?
I'm not. I'm not. I haven't. I think I was back at Penn State like last fall.
Okay.
Um, it's not my favorite game to watch, in person. I'm a diehard Duck fan,
Hmm.
so it's not a blast to actively root against Penn State. Um, because I had such a good experience in grad school. I went to a bunch of home games
Hmm.
at Penn State and became a fan of, that program. So I mean, it's much easier for me to cheer on the Ducks against Penn State from my living room.
So can you take me through your academic journey? So I know,
Yeah,
if I understand, you started at U of O, and like how long were you at U of O? Then when did you get to Southern, and how did Penn
yeah.
State come into the mix?
Well, my family has this long-standing tradition of going to the U of O and not graduating. My dating back to like my dad went to the U of O and didn't graduated from Southern Oregon. My uh, uncle and aunt, and actually I think both uncles maybe. Anyway, everybody went, didn't graduate. All my cousins, my brother, both my sibling, all three of my siblings went, didn't graduate. We've all, there's probably some partying in there that influenced all of that, um, but so I carried on that tradition. Had an amazing experience. I went to school for a year and a half, dropped out because of the aforementioned partying, went back uh, and learned how to learn really for the first time in my life. That was when I
Hmm.
first became an actor, right after my dad passed away.
Hmm.
Um, my dad passed away in 1989, and I went back. He actually was the first person who ever said you should think about being an actor, which is crazy because
Hmm.
nobody in my family was a performer. But he saw something in there, and so when I went back to U of O, I went and sat in on a graduate level Shakespeare course of all things to start out with, um, and had an amazing sort of like second chapter at the U of O, and that's really where my deep love of the university really
Hmm.
is that I think it was maybe almost 3 years that I was there. Just really fell in love with acting at the University of Oregon. That's where it all started for me, and fell in love with learning there for the first time in my life in my early 20s.
Hmm.
Really just like loved, just discovered what learning was, and um, due in large part to the faculty and all the other students up there. Um, uh, One of whom at the time was Heidi Schreck, and was, just as talented then
Hmm.
as she is now. But um, and then um, for a variety of reasons, some of it was money, uh, but I moved back to Ashland, and stayed with my mom, and finished at Southern
Hmm.
Oregon University, which was an incredible theater program, as you would imagine,
Hmm.
being paired with
In
the
Ashland.
with Oregon Shakespeare Festival. Um, and then the process of grad school is fascinating. I don't know if it's still exactly the same, but it used to be very much like almost like sports, where you you go to these kind of regional tryouts, and you get kind of, if it goes well, you get recruited. And uh, I ended up going with Penn State for a variety of reasons. Some of it was scholarship money, and also the faculty there was just remarkable and really kind of life changing.
Hmm.
But I
Is
was
that?
able to go to school. Go ahead.
I apologize for interrupting. How long is that
No,
program?
no, 3 years.
Oh well.
Yeah, it's 3 years an MFA, and I was able to go, with at on a full ride. So it was just a special experience. Like, I literally did nothing but wear a pathway between my apartment and the theater building, and occasionally would go to, see some sports as I want to do. But yeah, it was a really special time because I was so kind of locked in on what I was doing. During that time, though, I think, no, it was before that. Right before that was the Oregon Penn State Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And in the craziest circumstances, my friend of the family worked for ABC News. Excuse me. And basically got us to pretend like we were helping the sound guy, the guy who carries the whatever the cone, the sound cone. That's got a name.
I like the sound cone guy better.
The sound cone guy. So we followed him around, carried his cables, and we were actually on the sideline for that game. And we were right next to Kajana Carter on the whatever it was, the second play of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Just soul crushing. Just watching him run past our, Chad Cota and all of our favorite Ducks. But Duncan played with Chad Cota, by the way, in high school.
In Medford?
At Ashland.
In Ashland.
At Ashland
Okay.
High.
I remember where Chad went to high school. Okay. Were you at Penn State at the time? Were you a student at Penn State at the time of the Rose Bowl, or had you not gotten there yet?
I think I was enrolled.
Okay.
I think I might have been enrolled. So I was sort of, it was a little bit like, oh, I really like, Penn State. And then your real allegiances come out when somebody runs over your secondary and you're like, oh, that didn't feel good.
When you were at Penn State, did it feel like you could be a Penn State fan and an Oregon fan, just from the standpoint that they were in such different parts of the college football world in those days?
Yeah.
Where, like, Penn State was independent. They got the Pac-10. It's like these don't intersect except for in very extreme circumstances.
It did. It was very easy. It was like I would never have anticipated, like, our move to the Big Ten was, I did not enjoy that at all. Like, in addition to just being such a fan of the Pac-12, and on some level, I hope that there's some world in which we reform a Pac-12, because I think it was such a special conference, like really unique. I was not a fan of it because they were so far apart, and also they were in different places. Oregon was just starting to, trying to remember the timeline, but it was, Bellotti era where he was really making so much out of maybe not a ton of resources. Penn State was a powerhouse even then. Felt like different worlds entirely. It's been so fun to, in truth, like, I don't really pay as much attention to Penn State. The timeline of Oregon has been so thrilling. Penn State has been a sort of steady team for so long, and I always enjoy watching them play. And I'll always be a fan. This trajectory of the Oregon Ducks has just been what a thrilling ride, and especially being an Oregonian and remembering the headline on the Tribune, the Medford Mail Tribune.
Oh yeah.
Of the toilet bowl. When that, do you remember that?
I wasn't here yet, but I know of it. The 1983 0-0 game. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's where I date. If you want to start the trajectory of the Oregon Ducks, I think we could start at the toilet bowl. A game where both teams couldn't find a way both teams were trying to find a way to lose and couldn't. And then the slow, like, what an unbelievable ride it's been of making something out of nothing, and then that nothing becoming more resources, and then finding our way to Dan Lanning, who, I just feel so lucky having been through a couple of coaches that in retrospect felt a little mercenary. Like, this has really been just amazing to feel like there's a coach who feels like he's at home, and we've embraced him in that way, he's actually here. And that challenge of having so many resources and still being hungry, that is a thing that it seems like he's managing to do, It's been really fun, really fun.
What is your game watching routine? And can you give me what do you expect? And then I have more after that, but what do you expect on Saturday, and what's your game watching routine?
My game watching routine depends on the time of day. If it's in the afternoon or evening, I'll usually meet. Not usually, but try to go and watch them down at the bar, at Beer Bar. I don't know if did you spend time at Beer Bar? Was that open before you left?
I think it opened right before I left. I left in 2013, so I think it had just opened.
Okay, yeah, that's right. I think that's right. It's strange in a in Salt Lake City, but it is actually the official Oregon Duck watch bar. Okay. So that would be more of like an afternoon evening thing. If it's here at home, I just clear out the morning, and I can't sit down during Oregon Duck football games. So I kind of I have a space behind our couch that I stand and pace back and forth during the games until we're, if hopefully we land in a comfortable lead, and then I can get off my feet. But it's I don't really have any rituals other than clearing the decks. And that's, in terms of standing up during the game, that's literal rather than figurative.
I mean, so much has been made about this atmosphere on Saturday, and obviously Penn State has a lot of pressure on it. As a Duck fan, how are you feeling, and how do you view the opportunity that they have?
I feel good about it. Like, I've been to those whiteout games before, and it really is an unbelievable experience. And I think it's going to have it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard on the Ducks. But I do think, I think we have a really good shot. I think we have a really, really good shot. I think, it's hard to imagine a tougher environment in terms of just the unbelievable pressure of that many fans, 100 and whatever thousand fans. But it just feels like we have, every year it feels like we take a step up in quality and depth, and we don't seem to lose starters in the transfer portal, which I think is a credit to Lanning and that coaching staff. So we end up getting a lot of returning people, and I also feel really good about the way our interior line stacks up with the rest of the country now. I think, gosh, even 5 years ago, we were averaging 300 pounds, and now we're up to 325. And that was, when we made our way through to, national championship games, we're playing the Auburns, and we're playing, the SEC teams and stuff. And
huge.
It was like, well, maybe we had yeah. It felt like we held our own for a while, but the depth on the line. It always felt like maybe it caught up with us a little bit, and it just feels a little bit different. Feels like maybe we can, in those environments, in those really tough environments, that feels, I mean, I'm certainly not a pundit, but it feels like even more important that you can control the line of scrimmage and just sort of be able to grind out a win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what it feels like this game might be, which might end up being high scoring, but I could also see this being a thing where we grind one out.
Do you have people at Penn State still?
What do you think? I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I picked Penn State by a field goal, I think, just because I think there's so much pressure on Penn State, the way they're capable of running the ball. If they can control clock and keep Oregon's offense, at bay, I think that every structural advantage favors Penn State, right? Like they're coming off a bye, home game, night game, travel,
totally,
all of that. That said, to your point about Lanning, he has this team ready without fail. I mean, the Ohio, pardon me, the Rose Bowl is an outlier, but he does such a good job of keeping this team locked in for the right reasons and avoiding the distractions that I think could get to other teams. I worry a little bit about Dante Moore, as good as he is, 20 years old, never played in a road environment like that. That's going to be nuts.
Totally.
I wrote this week that it is the electric QB's acid test, which felt like a good Oregon reference.
Very, very good Oregon reference. Yeah.
And I won't be surprised either way, but I think the good thing for Oregon is like all the pressure's on Penn State. What do the Ducks have to lose? This game is built for them to lose, so they can only go and take a huge leap, or they would stay in the playoff race. It adds a little urgency to the Indiana game, the Washington game, the Iowa game. But this is, I think it's a moment for them to really take a huge leap, because that's the kind of win that solidifies you and they've had some of them, but to go on the road against a team that's this good in that environment, I think does sort of like lend credence to the blue blood sort of label that they haven't quite earned yet.
I completely agree. Like, this is one of those that, at some point we're always hoping to take that next step into, like, do people actually take the Ducks seriously for a championship? Because we've gotten so close, and we kind of now have that type label on us. And I do wonder about that. To me, I don't know if you agree with this, but to me, this game is going to be the first real test of our secondary.
Oh yeah.
And I think they're up for it. Like, I think this could be like the first game to show off how good this secondary is. And maybe it won't be, but like, they haven't really like the safeties aren't making a lot of tackles. Like, it just feels like everything's resolved by the time the safeties get to the tackle. And I don't know, it just feels like this could be a really exciting, I mean, obviously it could go the other way, but I think there's a chance that maybe we flash some of that secondary talent.
Well, I mean, they've got tons of talent back there, and they, like you said, they just haven't had an opportunity. I mean, who's the best receiver they've played so far? The guy from Montana State, probably.
Yeah,
and so it's
exactly.
Like, at that point, it doesn't mean they're not good. It just means that they haven't been tested. And, how do you sort of respond to that when you haven't had to go up against these NFL caliber receivers, for a full year? It's. But I agree. I think it's a test of that. I think the run game has the run defense has had a couple of slips along the way, but that's going to be pressures on them in that regard, just because of how last year went in the Big Ten championship game. Because Penn State ran almost 300 yards in that game, which was the Ducks were probably lucky to get out of there with a win, but
totally,
I don't know. I think it's all upside for the Ducks.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. I like that point of view. I was at that Oregon-Ohio State game in Eugene last year, and It was so, that was one, I think that may have been the best college football game I've ever been at. Um, but as soon as we drew Ohio State in the playoff, I knew it was trouble. I was like, this is not right. I really think they blew that one, in my opinion. I think they really blew that. Like, we should have met in the championship, that in my opinion, but whatever.
Yeah, they've made some tweaks there, but I agree that if you have the best record throughout the year, you're undefeated. You should have there should be more of a reward for that than playing Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Do you have friends at Penn State still? Like, I mean, is there any gentleman's wagering going on? Are there bragging rights on the line for you on Saturday?
I think most of my friends back there know that, like, I'm an Oregon fan, and that in some ways it's not like this game isn't a blast for me. This, like, it's just not a blast. Like, I will be rooting 100% for the Oregon Ducks, but it's just not like it's just not a blast. Like, I'd much rather place a wager with a friend over USC. That feels great. That's like my least favorite program in the country. So those old Pac-12 rivalries are. It's funny because my attitudes towards Oregon State have changed as they have become sort of the scrappy, trying to make something out of little. Like, I really, I find myself rooting for Oregon State as they play other teams, not in the Civil War, but I'm kind of, I'm hoping that they're holding on to the Pac-12 naming rights really serves them well down the road at some point.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do I need? I feel like I've taken up plenty of your time here. I have a very off-topic question for you, and if I don't ask, I'll be remiss. 2018. Sure. My pregnant wife and I were living in Los Angeles, and we went to a Pistol Annie's concert at LA Live. Pistol Annie's being Miranda Lambert's supergroup. I swear,
okay.
I swear to God that Julie Bowen was there in the pit with us. My wife thinks that I'm crazy and that it wasn't Julie Bowen. Does that sound like something Julie Bowen would have been doing in 2018?
Definitely.
Okay.
I can ask her. Her.
Well, that would be great. That's a bet I would love to settle with my wife.
Okay, I need. I'm going to text her, but what is the name of the
Pistol Annie's? Yeah, Pistol and then Annie's, Annies.
In 2018.
Yeah.
This is hilarious. By the way, do you know that she's in Eugene, right? Or no, she was in Eugene this weekend because her son is going to Oregon.
Oh, no kidding. Have you gotten her on board as a Duck fan?
Yeah, she must be. They're in.
Yeah, they must be fully committed.
It's great. All right, I'll let you know what I hear back.
That would be amazing. That will be very fun. Well, I wish you well.
I'll try to confirm that.
I wish you well on Saturday. It sounds like you're mostly just going to be miserable.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be happy if the Ducks win, but I just kind of like in my brain, I will disassociate the jersey color of Penn State and make it sort of that red of USC.
Is it a thing where like you'll root for Penn State whenever it's not Oregon, or does Penn State football just sort of exist in a different sort of zone for you? Okay, so if they're not playing Oregon, you want Penn State.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So it's any time Penn State is playing anybody but the University of Oregon, I'm rooting for Penn State.
I've never been to State College, so I'll be there this weekend. Seems like
great.
Have fun. Pretty neat place.
Have fun.
Yeah.
It is. It's great. It's a beautiful campus. It's a really fun place to see a game. It's just the scale is insane.
I'm staying in Harrisburg because State College is overloaded. I've heard that I probably need to get there about 8 hours before kickoff to beat the traffic.
Yes, do. I would do whatever you can to not get in that log jam coming from Harrisburg specifically. If you were coming from the other direction, it's not quite as bad. But that direction will be rough. Yeah.
All right. That's good to know. Okay. Well, Ty, thank you so much for making this work. I really
Thanks,
enjoyed
Bill.
it. And I really appreciate it. I'm a huge admirer of your work. And
thanks, man.
I'm gonna have some fun with this one. So thank you very much. And I do hope you are able to enjoy the game on Saturday.
I will. Go Ducks.
Yeah. Okay.
Go
Thanks,
Ducks.
Ty.
All right. Safe travels.
Yep. You too.